Lesson 3-6. Solve quadratic equations by any method. Any method. You get to choose. So this brings up an important question. What's the best method to solve a quadratic equation? If x appears only once and it's squared, either as x squared or x is in parentheses squared, solve by taking square roots. It's the fastest. But if both x squared and x appear, make your equation equal to 0 and try factoring. Factoring is usually the quickest. But if it looks horrible or cannot be factored, you can complete the square or use the quadratic formula, and most of us would choose the quadratic formula. Graphing is only the last resort for very complicated problems. You would going to use square roots, factoring, completing the square or quadratic formula, and again, most will use the quadratic formula instead of completing the square if given a choice. But you need to know how to do both. All right, solve this. All right, so let's look. We have both x squared and x. Therefore, cannot use square roots. But let's try factoring. It looks pretty nice to try factoring. So we are going to attempt to factor. Times what makes x squared is x times x. Times what makes 5. It's a positive 5, so maybe it's positive 5 and positive 1. Check the outers. It's 1x. Inners are 5x, which makes 6x. That is the middle. We have factored correctly. So now take each factor equal to 0 and solve. So we get negative 5 and negative 1. And of course, check your answers by plugging them back into the original equation. Would you pause and try that one? All right. We have both the x squared and the x. So it's not square roots. So let's try factoring again. We have to set it up by moving the 5x over. So subtract 5x from both sides. Times what makes 3x squared? It'd be 3x and x. Times what is negative 12? I don't know. Negative 4 and 3. Just guessing. It's guess and check, right? Let's check. So that'd be 9x minus 4x is 5x. That is close. I want it to be negative 5x. Since I want it to be negative, all I have to do is switch the signs. So instead of minus and plus, it'll be plus and minus. Then take each factor equal to 0. Subtract the 4, divide by the 3. Get negative 4/3 or 3. Let's try this one. What do you notice here? That's right, we only have x squareds. So let's combine like terms, get them all together. We'll have 5x squared equals 375. Since there's only x squareds, we're going to solve by taking square roots. Let's get everything away from the x squareds. We'll divide by 5, which gives us 75. Square root. Don't forget the plus and minus. 75 is 25 times 3, where 25 is a perfect square. So that is 5 square root of 3, plus and minus. Again, you can check those by plugging those in with your calculator. Let's try this one. What do you notice here? So I have the x squared and an x, so I can't use square roots. So let's try factoring. Times what makes x squared is x and x. To get negative 7, it would be negative 7 plus 1. It's x minus 7x. It's minus 6x. Is that what I wanted? Not even close. All right, what other choices do I have? I don't. Because to get x squared is only x times x. To get the 7 is only 7 times 1. I don't have any other options. So we need to use something else. Let's erase that attempt. It's not factoring. It is, in fact, let's use the quadratic formula. So x equals negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It's a, b, and c. So b is 5, b is 5, a is 1, c is negative 7, a is 1. 5 squared is 25, and 4 times 7 is 28. So that gives us 53. And can we simplify the square root of 53? Nope. So there we go. And you can plug that in with your calculator to check your answer. Let's go with one more. We have both x squared and x, so we can't do square roots. So let's attempt to factor. To factor, I have to get it to equal 0, so I'll subtract 54x from both sides. And then we'll factor. Then factor out a 3 from both of those numbers, and they both have an x, so I can factor out 3x. So the 3 is factored out, one of the x's is factored out. 54 divided by 3 is 18, and the x was already factored out. All right, so as our common factor, notice there's no more squares anymore, so we're done factoring. So then we can take each factor equal to 0. So x is 0 or x is 18. Check those by plugging them in.